Hi, everyone. I hope that you are having a good day. I know that everyone that has put this together is probably very tired. So I want to start by just saying thank you to everyone that's been a part of this conference. I know that we're coming up to the end, and it's just so important to say thank you to Alex and Alex and Ben, and we've got Jennifer and Sarah and everyone that's been helpful. My name is Amanda Bickerstaff. I'm the CEO and co-founder of AI for Education, an organization that's focused on the responsible adoption of AI in education. And I am so pleased to be able to bring you an insight from a practitioner who's not only just a practitioner, assistant superintendent of technology and innovation at Linwood Unified out near LA, but also someone that is on the forward foot of what it means to bring generative AI into the school system. So I want to thank you for joining. Do you mind just telling me a little bit about yourself, Patrick?
Sure. Again, thanks, Amanda, for having me on, and thanks to Ben and the team here as well for just including me on this conversation. So, again, as Amanda mentioned, my name is Patrick Gittes Ribongo. I have the longest last name in LA County, and probably all of Linwood, and probably all of this and everyone in this AI EDU conference. So, if you have a longer last name than me, put that in the chat. Let me know. I'd love to see it. So I'm the Assistant Superintendent of Technology Innovation with Linwood Unified School District. Linwood Unified School District is approximately 12 elementary schools with 2 middle and 2 high schools. We have 20,000 students across those schools. And so for us, one of the major imperatives for us is really making sure that our kids are able to have access, equity, and justice around tools, platforms, education. And so we're really looking forward to really trying to embrace a lot of different tools and really trying to grow our students in terms of their achievement.
That's great. And I
Yeah.
and I think that's something that really unites us because I know how important it is to have equity at the forefront of everything that we do in education. And so I think that this is something that is a really important component of our conversation today. And we wanted to do something a little bit different. So I know that conferences can be quite, you're thinking a lot, but what we want to do is we want to give essentially a call to action and some challenge to everybody here, whether you're watching it live or taking it back and watching it at another time. And so I want to ask you, Patrick, a pretty important question. Would you adopt a generative AI tool at your school? And if so, are there any right now that you would adopt?
So I would adopt a generative AI tool at this point. Are there any that are in the space right now that I would be willing to? No, not just yet. I think our approach, just in terms of what we're looking to accomplish and really what we want to have, is really want to make sure that all of these tools are not only safe and secure, but they also are responsible, that they really evaluate all of the content, all of the research and all the data that they're ingesting in a way that really ensures fairness, transparency, that they try to eliminate bias as much as possible. That's one aspect when we look for a tool that really we want to embrace. The second is around data protection. So one of the things that really keeps me up at night is if our teachers, our staff, our students is actually putting their private information into these tools and these platforms. Or as a school district and as a practitioner, right? Our role is not only safety, but it's also to protect student data and privacy at all costs. Right? And so before embracing any of these tools and any of these platforms that are on the shelf these days, I think strict policies really need to be in place. And then the last is really around inclusivity, right? And making sure that these platforms are going to be readily available for everyone and accessible for everyone. I keep thinking about special ed students. Keep thinking about students that may not be able to access these tools. And so being able to create accessibility tools around there, I think that would be something that needs to be really embraced, whether it's voice, whether it's vision, whether like there's other impairments that our students have as well. And so being able to have all of that is something that I think that needs to be really baked out first.
Yeah, and I just want to underline something is that Patrick is a decision maker. And I know that people, I don't know how many people in this room, this virtual room, are EdTech innovators, but it can be very hard to get your attention, Patrick. And so I want to clarify a couple of things. And it's not that I'm sure you would love to talk to people that are building cool things, but you have a lot going on. You've got teacher shortages, you've got ESSER funds that are potentially running out, you've got your students' needs, accessibility, student
Yeah.
privacy issues that already exist. Clark County is one of the largest school districts in the world. And last week they had their second major cyber attack
Wow.
in the last year. And so 400,000 students. So there are a lot of things that keep you up, I'm sure, at night. But what I wanted to underline from your perspective is that like the idea of openness is great, but there are some key things that are going to be barriers to you actually buying and adopting at scale a generative AI tool. And so the things you talked about were privacy, data, bias. We didn't even get to reliability and hallucinations, and the fact that the information, it's not like the thing where suddenly your iPhone's calling the wrong person 20% of the time, right? But
Right.
these are things that are really important. And so when you're talking about this, and you're thinking about this from the external point of view, you got to take that in mind, that you can have the most innovative idea and platform, but if it not doesn't meet the standards that are necessary within a district, it doesn't really matter.
And I agree. I can't agree with that. I can agree with that. I can't agree with that more. Right. So I think it's important that whenever you're piloting something, whenever we're trying to implement any type of tool, we really want to make sure that we identify the problem that we're trying to solve. Right. We got to articulate that need. We got to figure out what what problem that our students need to address. Right. And then that way we can determine if that solution, that product has a fit for us. Right. And then the second is really around selecting and discovering what these products can do, what they're capable of, what the research says. That there's no research right now that I have seen that says, hey, these tools, these chatbots, these AI tools actually work on producing student achievement, right? And so being able to fully vet and discover and select and identify the research that's there, that's important for us as an organization as well. And then the third is really around planning, right? How do we create these KPIs, these goals that ensure that there's a shared vision, right, around AI adoption, AI implementation, AI use on a daily basis, and then how we measure that efficacy at the end. And then again, I keep thinking about training, implementation, how we collect that data, how we analyze that data, and then how we end up purchasing the product, or if we end up buying something off the shelf, and then how we share that with the greater good, right, and the greater districts that we have. And so I think all of that kind of encapsulates some of the challenges that we face. But I would say again, Amanda, that we're more than willing to try and pilot. We're more than willing to adopt something that, again, that as long as there's something that's safe and secure, we are more than willing to try, right, and try to pilot.
Absolutely. Okay, man. I wish sometimes that like generative AI was already here so I could just like do like emojis and underlining and things. And so I just want to
Yeah.
highlight a couple of stuff that I care about a lot. We already talked about in my panel earlier today. Evidence. What is your evidence? I want to see your evidence. Okay. So let's get away from this idea of cool, shiny thing or solution looking for a problem, whatever you want to call it. But
Yep.
show us your evidence. Like, why can't we do that as just an absolutely part of what you're doing? It doesn't have to be a huge sample of like 1,000,000 students, but show us some of these examples of what your evidence base is that you built it, your lit review. The second one is, where have you done this and seen it successful? What are your measures and your metrics of success that you're even defining? And do they align with what we think is good learning or good teaching or whatever that might be? But let's get there. And then where are you building that evidence base as a continuous frame? So it doesn't mean that if you had three great pieces of evidence from a pilot that you stop there, but instead, are you using that evidence to continue iterating and improving your tool? And right now, generative AI is an untested place. And so you might say, okay, intelligent tutoring has the largest research base right now of AI because it's been around for a while. But that is not generative AI tutoring that has a different way of perspectives, the way it interacts with students, the way it learns and works. And so I think this is something that we really need to think about. So that's number one that I absolutely love that you said.
Yeah.
But also, man, guys, listen to all these things that need to be there and start thinking about it when you're building.
Yeah.
Because,
And
yeah, go ahead.
no, I was going to say that, yeah, I think it's important, even in the work that you do, Amanda. I think the efforts that you have done to really create this shared understanding of what AI literacy means, the awareness of the implications that AI and generative AI has for student preparation for college and career readiness, the integration of AI in the curriculum across all of these content areas. Because I can only picture a high school math teacher, which I was, right, thinking, how is AI going to help me in my class, right? It's only going to give kids the answers to the test, right? And so, like, how do I then change my practice to then think about ways of really embracing it and incorporating that in my classroom, right? So I think the work that you have done and the work that you're trying to do and really scaling out and growing its base and really getting that shared understanding for it, I think that's more important in just, hey, let's try this tool, let's do this. I think we need to develop that shared understanding, a comprehensive definition of what it means to embrace AI, because again, we're in the people business. We're in the business of building the capacity of staff and then making sure that our students are able to accomplish and achieve.
Absolutely. And building that common language or that literacy across the school system is really important. And I just want to bring up, so Kelly in the audience asked a great question, as that imagine that AI would be less reliable than the average human being. And I think what's really interesting about that is that I think that that's kind of not the right question. I don't want to create technology that is more reliable than the human being, but I have to create, if I'm bringing in the standards for not doing harm to my students, is so much higher than one human being's reliability. Like, I'm bringing something in and I've gone through all of the rigmarole of acquisition and vetting and vendor status and all these things, and also make sure that they've met the FERPA, COPA, sleep compliance, etc. There is a very high bar of doing no harm that has to happen, especially if you are paying for technology. And these things could be extremely expensive. And so I think when we try to compare them to an individual teacher or an individual person that might have bias or might hallucinate or tell the untruth when they think they're telling the truth, that these are not the same things. We're not talking about teaching, taking a teacher and scaling that not working. What we want to scale is better systems. We want technology to make our lives easier, but also to have a higher level of fidelity, reliability, and safety. So anyway, off my soapbox there.
Yeah.
But I always want us to end on a more positive, because this is really important, is that, like, no, we aren't quite ready yet, right? We know that these tools are not designed for schools. They're not necessarily fit for purpose. Quite a lot of them are actually not designed for students under 18 or even 13. Conmigo is 18 and over, which people I don't think always realize. But okay, now I'm giving you a magic wand. So Patrick, I'm giving you your
Yes.
magic wand. You are an assistant superintendent. You're
Yep.
getting a generative AI tool. What does it do?
It knows everything about our district in a way that we've been able to train it, right? So it understands our nuance, it understands our language, it understands, where we're at, our vision for students, our vision for our staff and our professional development, our vision for our community. And so that AI, like, we can brand it Linwood GPT or something like that. But if I have my own AI tool within this organization, it's encapsulated in a walled garden, that it has all the institutional knowledge that this district has had over time. I can imagine us, opening up a browser, and saying, "Hey, Linwood GPT, you tell me, what our KPIs or goals for this year is going to be," and then it automatically spit that back out to me. And so, in a perfect world, it's a walled garden approach. It's our own closed ecosystem. It has our own data set that we've been training it on, that we've been uploading. It has historical knowledge. It has institutional knowledge. It gives me all the insights that I could gather within this district without having to comb through files, records. It sits alongside our SIS, right? So that if I asked for, instead of doing a query or a SQL query all day, that I could actually give it, hey, give me the list of 10 students that chronically absent, right? And boom, it'll spit it out for me right then and there. And so, or give me the kids who are who got D's and F's the last quarter or are in danger of failing this class, right? So all that predictive analysis, everything, all encapsulated in one environment. That's what I would love to have.
Oh man. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. My magic wand is here. We have all kinds of EdTech innovators in the audience. I'm sure they can fix that for you. But the things that I'm hearing are, one is less fragmentation, meaning that you're not using a whole bunch of different systems. So you're not going from SIS to attendance tracker there, that you're not going from the curriculum sitting in there, your Google Classroom, all of those things. That's one. So less fragmentation and the ability to query structured and unstructured data in easier ways. So you want to be able to ask good questions, and maybe even not even have to ask the questions. Maybe it anticipates the questions that you're going to ask, because on every Monday morning, you're going to ask the same question about, where are these kids? Where are my kids that are constantly not here, and how do I support them getting into the school, as an example? The second thing that I hear from you is this idea of a walled garden, a highly contextualized very knowledgeable system specifically for Linwood that's going to understand the unique needs of your school system, because we know there's not one size fits all approach, even sometimes classroom to classroom, definitely student to student, district to district. And so how do we create something that actually understand Linwood's needs around your specific student population, your teacher population, your parent population, the different funding streams, the different types of programs that you have, and having that be more common. And then the last thing is that it's reliable in a way that makes sense for you all, that you can trust it, and that it's going to work in expected ways every time. And so, does that sound about right?
Yeah. Are you building it already?
Sure. Right now, who has $100 million, guys? I see some investors in here. Like
Yeah.
how could you, like, come on? How can you bring it in if you want to invest in the Patrick and Amanda show? We're ready. Here we go, Ben. Thank you.
Oh,
And
man.
come on, we're ready. Okay, so I also wanted to say, like, come on. He is the font of knowledge. In fact, we're going to go back to something that I brought up earlier, is that it's very hard to get the attention of someone like Patrick. I'm very lucky because Jacob, who's in the audience, connected us, and I get to have a great conversation with Patrick, and we get to be hopefully colleagues from now on. And so the question is, so I got lucky, building something that luckily people are resonating with. We're not really selling a product, so it makes it a little bit easier for me to have access to people like you. But how if I was building a generative AI tool and I have all the things we just talked about? I'm building towards less bias, more reliability. I'm building something that is contextualized and evidence-based. And I know it's not perfect yet, but I need you to help me make it better and give me a place to pilot. How is it best for me to get in touch with you to create that conversation or that first step towards potentially working with you, or at least even getting your attention?
I think sending me an email would be a good one, right?
Check your email. I heard that you get a lot of emails.
Sending me a text is also good. It goes back to the idea of when you build products, you don't build products to gather a bunch of people. You build products that people love, right? So that way you don't have to force people to love your product, right? So build products, build systems, build tools, build resources, build services that really impact kids at the end of the day, right? And so if it's evidence-based, if it's research-based, if there's proof that our students are performing, right, and that they're realizing the benefits of these tools, and we can see the fruits of that labor and that product, then, or that service, then I'm all in, right? So that's what we're about. We're about kids. We want to make sure that we do what's right for kids, that those our kids are in our best interest. And so being that, that's what we want.
And I think that what you're getting to is often one of the very best ways to get attention is to build something that teachers like or students like, or like you have one real champion. A lot of times that champion will take you into places. They will create those spaces for you and create those opportunities to have those conversations. It's also sometimes just being in the same place of people like you, Patrick. So it is something you care about at conference and going to the right spaces, having conversations. And other times it's just building something that is something, you might see 100 emails about a certain tool and you're like, okay, I can't really do that. But then that moment when you actually need it, you go back to that thing and say, okay, I saw 100 of these. Now I'm going to start looking at it. And I think we misunderestimate how the power of like right time, right place for these tools as well, in terms of getting attention. And
Yeah.
so things about timing as well.
Yeah, there's something about network effects as well. I think you, Josh, and Jacob, I think just being able to have those moments to connect with people and really talk about, this tool, this platform, this initiative impacts kids at the end of the day. I think those are the things that resonate with me, right? So the work that you're doing, the work that everyone here that has been doing around AI, the fact that we have an AI and EDU conference, right, says something, right? And so that in itself is something that I'm very passionate about. And so being in this room, being with you, being with everyone here is just, very fortunate, and I'm really blessed to be able to even speak with you. So thank you for including me. Yeah.
Well, I think that we're very lucky to have you speaking with us. And I think that I know for me as someone that is an entrepreneur and building something, the plane with, really have a rudder. I'm not sure we have an engine all the time. We definitely don't have two. But the idea that like we're pulling this together and actually creating a space where we can have these conversations, and you don't have to agree with us necessarily, but the idea is like the real conversations that we have around what it means to bring something into a school district in terms of right now at the time and space where this technology is the worst it will ever be, and every day it is as well, and it's being built and put in front of us very quickly, that there's some things that we need to do, but if you do them the right way, Patrick is willing to listen, and so are all kinds of districts around and people around the world. So thank you, Alex and Ben and everyone, for giving us this opportunity.
Thank you, Amanda, and thank you, Patrick, for being here. And I love that idea. Build a product that people love, and the doors start to open. You get those champions and then address the concerns, which are many, but they're real. If you can do that, then people are going to be willing to listen. I think it's an amazing message. Thank you, Amanda. You've been an amazing moderator today. Patrick, thanks so much for being here and bringing that voice of the district. Thank you all for being here today. And it's been a really amazing day. We have transcripts of everything's recordings. We're going to summarize it all. If only we can find some tool that can take lots of data, we'll figure that out. Especially want to thank some of the people who really made this happen. La Paz, our admin, executive assistant and admin who at Edtech Insiders, who literally got all of these 44 speakers today in the rooms, all their information, all their headshots, all their communications. She sent at least 5 emails to each person. It's hard to even imagine. She was incredible. And Sarah Morin, the head of marketing, who's been instrumental in putting together this entire day. By the way, she has a final request in the chat right now. We want your feedback. We'd love to continue to do this on a regular basis. So amazing to have everybody together. And obviously, it's going to evolve the same way AI is going to evolve. Please give us your feedback. We'd love to hear what you'd like to see in the future. I want to thank Walker McKenzie. He jumped in at the last minute to really make sense. He does amazing work with AI, and it's been amazing. Of course, Ben Cornell, co-founder of Edtech Insiders, and all of our moderators today. We had Robert Jones, we had Mike Berlin, Amanda, of course. Thank you all for being here. It's been an amazing day. I learned more than I could have imagined, and really appreciate everybody being here. Connect with, I hope, achieve your goal of like new ideas and at least 10 new people. Your LinkedIn connections. This is the best community there is, right? Follow AI for EDU. Amanda is doing unbelievable work. AI for Education. That's the official name, right?
Yes.
AI for Education.
Well, quickly, can I just say to everybody, first of all, we all need to send you a collective hug and some caffeine and maybe a cocktail. And if you like cookies, whatever you need to do, because Alex, this is 11 hours. And you have put together such a wonderful place for us all to come along. And I'll be a proxy for everyone that's joined today, the 800 people that were part of today. We want to say thank you, Alex. We're so lucky that you took the forward foot on this and gave this a real opportunity for us to come together. So whatever you need from us, we'll Venmo you. I'll Venmo you for a cocktail, whatever your choice is. But thank you so much for everything. And we just really appreciate everyone that did this. And just glad to have this kind of forward thinking at this stage, because it's so necessary. So you get a kudos, and everyone else gets it as well.
You're so nice. Amazing conversations. Fill out the feedback form. Connect with me on LinkedIn. That is all I would ever ask. And listen to the podcast. 75% of our guests today have been on the Edtech Insiders podcast, including Amanda. Amazing. Listen to the podcast. We have incredible guests. Thank you all so much for being here. We'll leave you 5 minutes back after our 11 hours. Thank you all so much. Have a great one. Connect with people. We'll see you all soon. Yeah, edtechinsiders.org. All right. Feedback form, please.